And we are live. Hello, all you beautiful people, all 10 or 20 of you, or whatever. This is Jim of Loudmouth Reviews, and I'm joined by my good friend, the Dark Conservatarian, who's been on a hiatus for a while. How you been?
I've been good, especially today. Yeah, this is Dark Con, or just Zach right now of the Dark Conservatarian YouTube channel. This is not a an end to my hiatus. I am, in fact, still on hiatus for many months to come. I found the time to just do a catch-up stream with some good old friends.
Cool. All right. So, this day is the 19th of September.
So we were talking about copyright strikes.
Yes, we were. The fact that my Dumbo review is
Okay. You're just mentioning
it got fucked over in the algorithm because Disney gave me a copyright strike.
Right.
Oh, I doubt they'll release this one without a fight because my criticisms of the Walt Disney Corporation in that review go a lot harder than most negative reviews.
Right. In fact, I cannot think of a time of when that you have reviewed actually, no, you did like a Jim's quick thoughts, vlog review on some Disney remakes or Disney properties before, but I don't think you've done like a full-fledged, fully panned out, edited, and fully thought out review like you did with Dumbo.
I've done other Disney movies. I did the Fox and the Hound too. That was like an old direct-to-video sequel.
Oh, right. I almost forgot about that. Must have been because that movie was so lame.
It was really lame. And kind of Disney's live-action remakes are kind of a bigger budget version of their direct-to-video sequels from like 20 years ago or so. Back then, because the principle is kind of the same. They basically just pandered to nostalgia over the original movie that people liked, and then they just create an inferior version of it, which is what a lot of those direct-to-video sequels were. A lot of them were just kind of the same movie, but but done a little differently. Like often it would be like the children of the characters in the first movie learned the exact same lessons their parents did. Or sometimes it was a character who didn't get a love interest in the first movie, would find one in the sequel. It was very...
oh, God. Don't even get me started with Mulan 2 on that front.
Oh, I hate Mulan 2. What is worse, the Mulan remake of 2020 or Mulan 2 from 2000? I honestly don't know.
Damn, that is a tough one. That is a tough one. I mean, Mulan 2020 has a little bit of more of a scandalous background, but Mulan 2, God, is so much more cringy and mean-spirited with the characters. Mulan 2020,
it really is. And
I can't.
What really pisses me off about that movie more than anything, and other reviewers have noted this, that usually like when arranged marriages are like kind of part of the story, whether they should go through with it, like in Aladdin, for example.
I'm
How
sorry, but
kind
I'm
of there's
gonna have to
tradition that Jasmine
keep
marry a
talking, but
prince.
I'm gonna have to go silent for a second.
Oh, okay. Well, it's tradition that of course Jasmine had to marry a prince, and she kind of goes against that tradition. But her entire kingdom wasn't at stake in that. Here they go against the emperor's plan for arranged marriage and put the entire kingdom in danger of Mongol invaders. I cannot get over how fucking stupid that is.
Oh,
Yeah.
I guess it was them trying to like shoehorn because everybody like worships the golden dragon of unity that he like says you're to no longer have this war or whatever.
Yeah, but at the end of the movie, the Mongol invaders are still coming, so they didn't really solve anything. I don't know if you know much about history, but when the Mongols invaded China, they massacred a huge portion of the population. So thanks to Mulan 2, we know that's partially Mulan's fault.
Right, a little bit of retconning of history
at
right
least
there.
She followed her heart.
Damn.
She'd be like,
and you know what?
screw China, screw our country. I gotta follow my heart.
Right. Quite frankly, I think, in my opinion, the Renaissance, out of all the Disney Renaissance movies, that Mulan and Aladdin have probably been my childhood favorites. I mean, sure, years later, I'd grow to appreciate Beauty and the Beast a little bit more. I guess I thought it was like a little bit more on the boring side of my childhood. But growing up as an adult, you realize of how much more maturely the relationship was handled between them two, and all that other stuff that just made it a little bit more grounded. I mean, yeah, it's a story about how a girl like falls in love with a fucking wildebeest, for crying out loud. There is that subject matter, but all the same, it's the personalities interacting with each other. That's how it feels more realistic. It's like it took months to build up to that point, as opposed to overnight with Snow White and Seven Dwarfs or something like that.
Right. And I actually remember back
But
in 2013, I actually kind of appreciated Frozen for kind of like satirizing the Disney formula of like way too fast romances. The but like The Little Mermaid's probably the best example. What on earth do either Eric or Ariel really know about each other at the end of the movie and fall in love? Pretty much nothing other than they're both physically attracted to each other. That's it.
right, it is pretty cheesy. I
Yeah,
will
that
say, have you ever like seen Shea Furlow's Productions ranking of the 2010s Disney movies?
I'm sorry, who's what?
Shea Furlow's Productions.
No.
Okay, he's a guy with Tamatoa from Moana as his Rantsona. Um, but he did a ranking, and he thinks that both Frozen movies are kind of at the bottom half of the 2010s Disney movies, and he considers like Tangled to be like, I think, third best, if I remember the ranking correctly.
Mm.
Um,
I mean,
yeah, it
I
was third
I
best.
would
Third
definitely
best
say
was Tangled.
Frozen 2 definitely was a very weak movie. I definitely thought it was a pretty cheap sequel, pretty much just a cash grab. But the first Frozen,
Right.
it definitely made a pop culture impact. It had good music. The story was good, and it had a genuinely unexpected twist. Honestly, if that had happened today, it probably wouldn't be very unexpected because Disney does shit like that a lot more. But back in 2013, that actually was genuinely unexpected. Hans being a villain like that.
Well, his commentary about Tangled, anyways, um, was he was going on some rant about how Disney was trying to stray away from typical love relationships or whatever, and
Yeah.
it's because I don't know what a reason why he predicted that it was that they did that, but he was saying that essentially Tangled is the appropriate way that handle a dude girl relationship like that, so forth. I mean, you just have to watch the video yourself. He does it in a whole lot more concise manner than I can remember right now off the top of my head. But anyways, yeah.
As a
I
general
think I went
rule,
to like
uh, Disney's animated productions during the 2010s generally were pretty good. I mean, there were quite a few. There were a few gems during that time period. Their recent like bout of live action remakes has just been like kind of like depressing, just how much they've fallen off and just went to creating other utter garbage. I haven't even seen the remake of Pinocchio, but I've heard people saying that it's like worse than ever.
Shea Furlow's Productions. I watched his review of the live action Pinocchio remake, and he says that's pretty bad. That's all I need to know to just avoid it.
Yeah, I just don't even have any desire to see it. Pinocchio is a childhood favorite of mine. It's an 82-year-old movie. That they made that movie back, animated that back in the late 1930s is just incredible to me.
Right. What was I going to say? A point that I want to bring about earlier with the mention about the sequels and whatnot, the sequels to the Renaissance movies. Um, I will say that between Mulan and Aladdin, a couple of movies that were my favorites of the Renaissance era, that I think Aladdin had the better sequels. Well,
By
I
far,
don't
that's
know
not.
of all of their sequels, but it was definitely better than Mulan 2. But
Oh,
that's
oh,
not
oh, by
saying much,
far.
but still.
the two Aladdin sequels aren't all that good, but compared to Mulan 2, they are fucking masterpieces. Mulan 2 is fucking garbage. That is an
Actually,
huh?
I remember Nostalgia Critic when he got in reviewing all the Disney Renaissance sequels, and he thinks that Tarzan, uh, not the sequel when that he's still an adult, the sequel, the prequel, the Tarzan prequel that takes place in his childhood, and he interacts with the
Midquel
George
would be the
Carlin voiced ape.
midquel would be the better
It
way to
says that
describe it rather than prequel. Because it's set in the
oh,
middle
midquel.
of the
Okay,
first one.
I gotcha.
Yes.
All right, point made. But anyways, it says that that is like one of the better ones. He thinks that it's about equally as good as Tarzan, and he thinks that the 101 Dalmatians sequel, 102 Dalmatians, is like just about as good as the first one, and thinks that both of them, in fact, are the better ones of all the Disney Renaissance sequels.
I didn't care much for Tarzan 2. That one, it just even though George Carlin as the gorilla was fun, just fun to hear George Carlin, but I still didn't really care much for it.
One sequel that I will say that I definitely like better than the first one is like Cinderella 3. That's mostly because I remember saying or thinking that the first Cinderella was pretty freaking boring, honestly. As blasphemous of an opinion that might be, but hey, that's just me. I mean, I thought that the most entertaining parts were the parts with all the rats, but
Right.
the love relationship,
I
the
think
women, it's all like.
Honest Trailers did a fun joke when they did the starring thing. They pointed Cinderella and says, "I ain't saying she a gold digger."
Right. And
You know the
Lady
next lyric of
Tremaine
that song.
too.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess I don't understand the reference. Sorry, but
All right.
even Lady Tremaine, like some people say that Lady Tremaine is like one of the best parts of the first Cinderella, but I realize of how real of a villain she is, and that is a way that I can appreciate Cinderella, the first Cinderella, a little bit more, is because how grounded and realistic that her she was as a villain, like Claude Frollo and Rourke from Milo, from Atlantis, and those kinds of villains. But at the same time, I did not find her particularly entertaining. I don't know. That's just me though. But in the third one, they made her like more fun to watch on screen, and plus they gave the prince a whole lot more of a personality, and they even built up a little bit more for the relationship of Cinderella and the prince. And yeah, that's what I vaguely remember of Cinderella 3, anyways. But it's nothing that I would like go out of my way to go back and watch or anything. I mean, it's whatever.
Right. But in terms of like the recent bound, and Disney announced even more of them. They're apparently making a prequel to the Lion King remake about Mufasa's childhood, and I'm betting that's going to be fucking terrible. And of course, you got that new Little Mermaid remake that's been stirring up all kinds of controversy.
Honestly, I think a Mufasa's a prequel. In theory, it sounds pretty cool, but with how modern day Disney has been, I cannot imagine it being good.
Well, did you watch Your Movie Sucks review of The Lion King 2019?
Damn, I have not. I still got that in my what's later list, I think.
I highly recommend it. I will not be doing a review of The Lion King 2019 because there's absolutely no fucking way I could top Your Movie Sucks' review of it. That guy was thorough as fuck. The review is only part one, so it's only like he only reviews the first half of the movie and hasn't even finished it yet. And he dissects every fucking thing that movie did wrong, absolutely beautifully. He is absolutely brutal against that movie.
But if you don't like it, just don't watch it. Those types of people out there.
Yeah. Well, I only watched the Lion
I've
King
been
remake
like hearing
once,
that.
and I did not like it. It was incredibly dull. It like sucked the life out of the stories. Mostly the characters' lack of facial expressions annoyed the living shit out of me. You watch the original
Right.
movie, and the animators really made the characters expressive, and you can identify with them. The decision to remake it with all the characters being
Right.
completely deadpanned on their faces, it just makes it look creepy and uncanny valley.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
there's
if I wanted to watch wild African animals in the savannah, I would have watched a documentary about it.
yeah, well, I'll go watch a David Attenborough documentary. Boom. Though I love how John
Right.
Favreau essentially like his next project from the crew of the Lion King remake was Prehistoric Planet, which was a David Attenborough documentary, and they used some of the technology into it. But I really love that one. That was fucking excellent. So I guess some good came out of it in the long run.
Wait, John Favreau helped make Prehistoric Planet?
Yeah, he was the producer of it. He pulled in a bunch of Hollywood talent, but what's really great about what he did with Prehistoric Planet is he basically gave complete creative control of the project to paleontologists. So it's incredibly meticulous in caring about scientific accuracy while also having the production values of a Hollywood production. So you got David Attenborough's
Cool.
narration. It's an absolutely beautiful program to watch. I highly recommend Prehistoric Planet.
Yeah, I think you did a review about it, and you even came up to me and asked me, "Have you watched this?" And would have liked me to join that review, but unfortunately, I did not watch it, so I could not really join and contribute anything. Could not contribute jack squat.
Right. It was a really good program. It's all set in the. It basically is like BBC's Planet Earth, except all set 66 million years ago. You get each episode like of a different biome of the prehistoric world. One deserts, one freshwater, forests, ice worlds, coastlines.
You know, speaking of new pieces of media, what did you think of Top Gun Maverick?
It was awesome.
Two thumbs way up. All right.
But the real
I
problem
thought
with
it
it
was
is, wouldn't that end action sequence have started World War III?
um yeah, probably. I mean, assuming that the ambiguous enemies were supposed to be Russia.
Either Russia or China. I don't know who else it could be. And wouldn't such an attack on Russia or China really start World War III, really lead to shit hitting the fan later?
It
Though
would, but
you could definitely say that about the first Top Gun too. I always just assumed that Top Gun was a prequel to Threads.
hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I got you. I got what you mean. But I think that's what the charm is about the movie. There was actually, you know, the one guy that does the anatomy of a failure videos. He did some kind of anatomy of a success type of video, basically praising Top Gun Maverick. And I guess from what I can get from the title, he goes talking about this is how you do a bad guy, an antagonist within a movie, or this is one good way. Anyways, probably not the good way, but a good way is that you just leave the enemy rather ambiguous, about as ambiguous as possible, so as to make it as little as possible for the issue for the movie to be politicized.
Right. If they had
Which
blatantly said it was Russia
kudos
or
to
China, that would have created problems. But one thing I did
yeah.
notice early in production, they tried to digitally remove the flag of the Republic of China from Maverick's jacket, and then they
You mean
restored it for the final movie, and I
Taiwan?
was happy to see that.
You mean Taiwan? You said China.
There, well, yeah, the government of Taiwan's not the country. There's no country called Taiwan. Taiwan's the name of the island. The the
Oh, okay.
the government that controls the island is the Republic of China. It was the government of China that ruled all of China between 1912 through 1949 when they lost the civil war with the communists who exiled them to that island. Yeah. So the
I'm
flag
sorry.
is the flag of the Republic of China, as opposed to the mainland China, which is the People's Republic of China.
I thought it was the flag of Taiwan that there was
It
a
was.
huge issue being made about whether or not they would remove that from the jacket.
It was the flag of Taiwan.
Okay, I guess you're just trying to troll me and joke around.
No, I'm not trolling, joking around. The Taiwanese government is the Republic of China. That is the Taiwanese government. It's not the country is the Republic of China.
Oh, so
The
you're
island's name is Taiwan.
so wait, you're saying that technically Taiwan is supposed to be the appropriate government of the entirety of China?
Correct. They were the after the Qin dynasty fell. They were the government of all of China. Yes, under Chiang Kai-shek. And then Mao
Mm.
Zedong won the Civil War, and the communists took over the mainland, and that's that. And of course, the communists have been wanting to take the island back ever since and fully end the Civil War, but they haven't been able to. Mao tried to in the middle of the 50s, but the U.S. Navy came and stopped him and sank his fleet.
You'll have to send me some reading literature on that because I seriously did not know of that. Like I know that you've made statements like that, a statement like that before, but I thought you were like trolling at the time, and I did not know what you were going with that spiel that you were just mentioning right there. But oh well, yeah, like definitely send me some literature on the background
Right.
of that sort of stuff. I'd be interested to read it.
Yeah, there's it's been a near 70 years. Essentially, the situation between the Republic of China on Taiwan and the People's Republic of China in the mainland has essentially been a 70-year stalemate, where both sides officially declare themselves the legitimate rulers of China, but neither of them consider themselves separate nations. Neither have declared independence from each other. But neither have actually fought each other. They've just kind of been in a long ceasefire, similar to the situation between North and South Korea.
I mean, does Taiwan not realize that they don't really have any control over China as far as like Uyghur enslavement camps go and
Well,
whatnot?
no shit, they're aware of that fact, but but they still officially refer to themselves as the Republic of China, and they have a good reason for that. The Communist Party has stated that if Taiwan officially declares its independence, they will be immediately invaded. So there's kind of a weird thing where the government of Taiwan is like, well, we're so obviously an independent government, we don't need to declare it, and thus they've been just kind of on this weird stalemate that's lasted for decades.
Okay. Hey, I'm gonna see if I can go to the YouTube browser so I can share this to my Discord. Keep talking.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The well, obviously, since the Chinese Communist Party is much more militarily powerful than the Republic of China on Taiwan, the Republic of China has no realistic chance of ever retaking the mainland. Though originally, after being exiled there, Chiang Kai-shek actually wanted to use it as a base to retake the mainland, but obviously that's not realistically going to happen. So they kind of just have this weird kind of long stalemate. But whereas the Communist Party are constantly threatening to invade them. But actually, Taiwan is the advantage kind of because of the fact that they control the island. And of course, taking over an island is much harder when you got the home team advantage. The only way for the Communist Party to take the island is to send wave after wave after wave of men onto it, which would be incredibly costly. You there? Zach? Hello? Zach? Oh. What's up? Arkham Knight Rider. Hey, how's it going?
Hello, testing.
I hear you.
Okay. Sorry. I guess I was able to hear you still, but I was going through other browsers on my phone, and I guess that cut off my audio, my microphone for a second there. But I'm back.
Okay, cool.
The statement, the little reference that I was making though was the thing of it being a stalemate because China is not able to as easily overwhelm Taiwan, they would end up having to sacrifice multiple more troops than they would like bargain for. I was just saying, kind of reminds us of another conflict that is happening in Europe.
Correct. Very correct. You see, the thing is, you need to have when you're invading other territory, you need to have bare minimum 3 times the forces employed to overcome the home team advantage of your opponent. That's how it. That's just how it is. Ukraine and Taiwan would have an easier time actually than Ukraine would because Taiwan is an island and Ukraine is not.
Right.
Where and yet, despite that, and Taiwan's a lot more military is a lot more built up than Ukraine's does. Like economically per capita, they're actually a much more developed country. Per capita per individual, the average citizen on Taiwan is over 3 times wealthier than the average citizen on mainland China, as they've essentially liberalized. Huh?
Go ahead. I was just saying that's not surprising, but go ahead.
Because they've essentially become a liberal democracy as of the early 90s. They actually were when they separated, they actually were both military dictatorships. It kind of like there was a process in the late 70s and 80s to like democratize Taiwan, and that eventually happened, and eventually they had the first elected president in the early 90s. And now they've essentially become one of the most free and prosperous countries on earth. Whereas, of course, mainland China still is a brutal dictatorship under the Communist Party's authoritarian rule.
I will say it's quite unfortunate that they have such fanciful looking architecture, though. It makes me be all like, this takes place in China? Damn it, I'm jealous. But at the same time, that fanciful architecture is probably held together by popsicle sticks and glue, if you get my drift.
Buildings literally fall right over in China. There was a skyscraper that was literally swaying back and forth for no reason. There was no earthquake or anything. A skyscraper just started swaying back and forth there in China. What?
And even some of the designs don't even make sense. Like
the real reason why the skyscraper
go ahead.
was
What's the reason?
Back and forth? Because it was made in China. That old joke. Yeah.
That's the joke. Yeah, I gotcha. I was gonna say that even some of the fanciful designs in China don't even make sense. Like there's the one picture that you had shown, or maybe it was someone else, but of a library of where the top shelves that kind of spiral inward as you get closer and closer to the ceiling. But here's the thing: there's no ladders or stairs or balconies or anything to access those top books. I guess this is their workaround to try and say that, oh, no, we still allow people to have these books, but if they can reach them, the books that they don't really want people to read.
Because nobody in China could invent a stepladder, right?
That have to be like one big stepladder, looking at how the big the room looked from the picture.
Right. That's not even
but
close.
Anyways,
they literally were. I'm not kidding. In order to like appease environmentalists and show in like greenify areas that have been destroyed in development, they literally sent people to paint the mountains green. I'm not fucking kidding. They're sending people with spray paint and spray painting them green.
Well, you have said before that we live in idiocracy nowadays, or lots of people have said that. What am I talking about?
Yeah, if that's not an example of an idiocracy, I don't know what the fuck is.
It's all like, oh, we'll just paint grass. We'll just paint the ground, and then grass will grow on it. That's about as stupid as the whole thing. Plants love our Gatorade ripoff. It has electrolytes.
Yes, Brondo's got what plants crave. It's got electrolytes. They're what they use to make Brondo.
But Oh, Brondo. Yeah, that's the name of the
Rhonda the Thirst
whip-off
Mutilator. It's got
Gatorade.
electrolytes. Yeah.
Right. But what I was wanting to mention a little bit earlier, about the whole thing of Maverick keeping, excuse me, Top Gun in general keeping their villains ambiguous. Now you said as what the reason why they do that is probably to try and make it as little as possible that the movies will be politicized. But I say that, but then I remember all the headlines about how, or at least one particular article headline that was just bitching about how it supposedly embraces toxic masculinity.
So how dare a movie not suck
Even,
in the current year? How dare it?
so, yeah, and even then, if I was to even entertain this for the littlest bit, the thing is, Top Gun did not have anything that could like even resemble toxic masculinity. It's not like men were beating up women, being all like "shut up, woman, go make me a sandwich" or anything like that. The most that you could say is that man was like, Maverick, Tom Cruise's character, can't remember his real name, was like sneaking into the house to try and get on the woman. I can't remember her name. To start getting loving with her,
Well, no, he
but
sneaked
then
out of it
eventually,
because the woman didn't want her teenage daughter knowing that she was bringing men into the house because it would set a bad example for her.
okay,
She'd
yeah,
be like,
you're right.
"Well, why are you allowed to bring strange men into the house?" Da, 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 da. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, right. You're right. I got it backwards. Yeah, it does
Yeah.
make sense, and you're right. I got it backwards, but he even like left when she. Well, actually, I don't know if it was a she told him to sort of situation. I can't remember the exact
She told him.
play out
She
of that
told him.
movie.
Yeah, she had him sneak out.
Was it she
She,
asked him to leave and he did?
no. She asked him to leave and sneak out quietly so that her daughter wouldn't see him. What was the situation? And can you say how amazingly Jennifer Connelly has aged? She still got it.
Ah,
Yeah.
no, I got you. I mean, I haven't watched the first one. I'm not gonna lie, I have not watched. Actually, I've watched a few clips, but I haven't watched the first Top Gun in its entirety.
Jennifer Connelly was only like 16 when the
And
first Top Gun came out. Well, actually, no, she was 14 at the time, so she wasn't in it.
oh, damn.
She actually wasn't in. She was in
Wait,
Labyrinth that year. She was 14.
wait, and she's playing as the girl who is the original love interest of Maverick in the first one, right?
No, unfortunately, that actress got fat, so they couldn't bring her back.
No, yeah, I understand that, but they replaced her with Connolly, right?
Yeah, but they don't say that she's the same person. Like she's just another person that Maverick hooked up with in the 30 something years between the two movies.
Oh, they're not the same character within the
They're
world.
not the same character. No, they couldn't bring back the original
Okay,
character
that,
because
that
she
I
got fat.
okay, I'm misunderstanding some things because, well, then in that case, I guess okay. The reason why I thought that they might have kept the whole relationship and the background of it so ambiguous was because you're supposed to have watched the first one so that you will have known the context of everything and the history between these two. But if the girl is not the same character, well, then that means that at no point did they reveal the context of the intensity of the relationship and all that stuff,
You don't really
which
need to know,
I
though. It's
thought
just
was a
you don't really need to
what?
know. She's just kind of an old flame.
I guess it left me just a little bit confused personally. And another flaw that I thought was wrong with the movie was that it did not really give much of an opportunity for the side characters to really shine that much. I mean, in my opinion, it was mostly a movie about Rooster and Maverick. I mean, yeah, there's a love relationship as well, but I got more heavily invested in the relationship between Rooster and Maverick, and plus the fight scenes, the flight scenes, they were pretty compelling and investable.
Oh, they
If
were
I had to
fantastic. They were
personally
some of the
rank
best
it,
I've ever seen.
oh, definitely. If I had to like rank it, I'd probably call it an 8 or a 9 out of 10. A lot of other people would call it 10 out of 10, but that's just me.
Yeah, I can agree 8 or
It
9
did
out of
not.
10. I wouldn't call it a perfect 10 movie. The only really 10 movie I saw in 2022, The Northman. God, I love The Northman.
Yeah.
The Northman. If you To everyone out there, all the amazing millions of viewers that I obviously have on my channel or something, watch The Northman.
Maybe what's his face can like make back a profit in DVD or whatever disc sales, so that he can like make his next culture centric movie, like maybe
Yeah,
African tribe centric or something like that.
that'd actually be. I'd really like to see that. Like, I'd love to see him take on like an African or Asian kind of mythology, the same way he takes on Norse mythology in The Northman. I'd love to see that.
I would like him to make the characters just a tad bit more likable, though.
Well, if you the really thing about Rager's movies is he really puts historical authenticity above all things with his productions, and if you really like read like these old myths, the characters really are not that likable by modern standards in them.
Hmm.
So it's just kind of like him being really authentic with his portrayals. And it's meant to be a
Okay,
cautionary tale of how revenge eats away at your soul.
I understand that, and for that, I highly respect the movie. I just don't technically like it personally.
I loved it. I gave it a standing
But that's
ovation. I
of
saw that
course
in my,
just me. Um,
I can't.
I kind of thought that the main character, I can't remember his name, was kind of a little bit more of boring, a slightly more boring version of Uhtred from The Last Kingdom. I don't know if you ever seen any episode of the show called The Last Kingdom from Netflix.
No, but I don't agree. I got he basically. I mean, he's someone who's just like consumed with anger, and he's essentially like a living tank. You saw him in the Berserker raids. He just slaughters everyone who comes near him. He's like
Which I guess
rage incarnate. This man.
which I guess makes sense, and I cannot really fault the movie's quality on that front, because if that's the case, then the guy would not have had time to be able to develop anything more of a personality outside of anger, hatred, and revenge.
Yeah, and he even says that he talks about how like his need for revenge is just like all consuming. It eats away at this man's soul.
So therefore, he could not develop a hobby for hunting, an actual hobby for hunting or making tents or architecture or something like that.
No, he was all about, he lived a life of devoted to spilling blood. Yeah,
I gotcha.
such a
Hey, what
damn
did you
good
think
movie.
of
What?
what do you think of Sonic 2, by the way? What did you think of Sonic 2, by the way?
Eh, basic kids movie.
Yeah,
Whatever. Nothing really to it.
I thought it was I thought it was pretty meh too, honestly. I did not think that Jim Carrey was as much on his game with Eggman personally. I do like how they made Knuckles. Like Knuckles was probably like the best part in the whole movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, the
And
Knuckles was
I thought
cool.
that
Idris
some
Elba voice. Yeah, it was cool,
what?
but it still wasn't that great of a movie.
Yeah, I understand, and I thought
And,
that
and I thought they
some
really
maybe
they
some of
really
the
like
adult drama kind of intrigued me a little bit.
well
What?
I thought they really like pussed out like halfway through with the whole Operation Catfish wedding joke. That actually was really funny what they did for a minute there, and I actually thought was giving this movie props. And then they like totally walked back on it, and I'm like, lame.
By the way, I got a question. How robotic am I sounding on your end? On your end?
Yeah, your audio sounds fine. How does mine sound?
Okay, it's probably just me with the kind of connection that I have, but I mean, you end up like sounding kind of staticky every occasion, but it's it's bearable enough for with what resources I have here. It's doable. But
Okay.
anyway, um, I I gotta say that I like the first one a little bit better. Like if I had to rank them, I'd call Sonic 1 a 7 out of 10, and Sonic 2 like a 5 out of 10. But
I'd say the
the
same,
first
yeah.
Sonic, definitely get a bit of a I got a bit of a kick out of the interaction between Dr. Eggman and oh what's his face, the main cop dude. The banter that they had and how Eggman was all like, I was spitting out formulas when you were spitting out formula. The cop was all like, actually, I was breastfed. And Eggman was all like, oh, rub that in my orphan face now, will ya?
Right.
This is
I was
funny to
kind of
me. And
hoping when they
also
made
when that
Sonic
the
movies, I was
cop
kind
like
of hoping it would
sucker
more like
punches
follow
Eggman.
the 90s cartoon show from Saturday mornings. That actually, I watched that when I was a kid, and that one kind of made like Sonic this kind of like freedom fighter who was like fighting to unenslave his planet, and Robotnik's like this evil dictator who's trying to roboticize the world of Mobius. I kind of wish they had followed that formula with the movies, but they went in a different direction.
Wait, was that the one of where that Sonic is like teaming up with his brother and sister that they just made up and they're in a band together?
No, that's a totally different show. The one I'm talking about is much older than that. It was around when I was a little crotch dumpling when I was a little kid. I watched it on Saturday
Okay,
mornings.
I got you.
But
Yeah, I kind of remember the other one that I just mentioned to be have a little bit more of a darker tone, and it sounded like similar to what you're talking about because essentially Sonic and his brother and sister, they were part of an underground, and Robotnik is like the evil overlord of everything, and he's turning people into robots. I wonder if they borrowed those ideas from the show that you just mentioned.
probably. Well, the
Probably
thing
did.
about the original game is there's not really any story to it. So when you're making like a cartoon show, then you pretty much got free reign to like do whatever. Do whatever. Ju- you just take
Right.
some visuals from the game and just kind of like do your own thing, and that's pretty much what they did.
And I think that's one thing that I heard from people as to why people say it's hard to make a video game based movie is because nobody has any real story material to base, off of whatever video game they want to adapt into a movie.
Well,
They
that was the
just have
case
to,
for old game for
come up with
old
something on the
games.
fly.
Well, you see, the thing about it is when the Sega Genesis was out, those hard drives had only like 4 or 5 megabytes of storage capacities, and audio was extremely space hogging. So obviously, game characters on those old game consoles rarely ever talked. So there wasn't much of a plot you really could develop. But as time went on, as storage obviously increased, more games had dialogue and a story behind them.
Right. I actually saw this one meme fairly recently that said that suggested the idea of making a show or movie or something off of Skyrim. I saw that and I was all like, "Hey, here's your opportunity right here, Amazon. A whole lot more potential for you than Lord of the Rings."
I haven't even seen the new Amazon's Lord of the Rings, nor do I want to. I don't have Amazon Prime. Don't want it.
Yeah, I have no intent to either. I mean, I go hearing about the disloyalties to the source material. I'm freaking annoyed by all the heavily modernized haircuts they have. They shoehorned in these proto hobbits, and just yada yada. I could go on. I don't hear that good of stuff about it. Um, Pretty much everybody seems to agree that the way that they portrayed Elrond in the show is rather bad, frankly. And Galadriel, I don't know if I've heard anybody like argue against this at all. In fact, all the leftists, I'm just going to use that term, leftists who go defending the show, don't even really have much of an argument to say against the people on the right who are saying, oh, that they you know, what am I trying to say? They strayed away from Galadriel's character, is the word I'm looking for. And so because of all that, I'm all like, not going to watch it. I'm definitely not going to contribute the money to watching it. I mean, if somebody like really badly wants me to watch it so I can actually have more of a standing to criticize it, well then, hey, let me borrow your account. But aside from that, no, I'm not going on my way to pay for it.
Yeah,
And besides
Bezos
that,
is tough one.
that seems to be the strategy that most people like on the right in the culture war seem to be going for as well. You know, like try to drain Amazon as much as possible of your money so that maybe they'll definitely reconsider ever doing something like this, you know?
Yeah, they got more than enough money coming in from China to make up for it.
Right. And I do realize as well that they still have like all their sales products, like they sell food nowadays, as far
Yeah,
as I
Whole
know. They
Foods is
sell like
owned by Bezos. Yeah, there, yeah. I remember there was this
furniture, stuff like that.
one idiotic petition from within Amazon where these employees wanted them to like withdraw services from all states that banned abortion after Roe v. Wade was overturned, and I'm like, yeah, there's not the smallest chance in fucking hell Bezos will ever do that. It's a laughable suggestion.
Right.
Not a
So even if
snowball's
like
chance in
people,
hell. Sorry.
what? Well, anyway, as I was saying, like, so yeah, because of all that, of all their sales outside of streaming, they're definitely not going to go under, but
No.
it'll definitely hurt their streaming department, is the idea, anyways.
Yeah, because they supposedly invested a lot in this show. I've heard like it cost them like a few $100 million just to buy the rights to it, and like they expect the total cost of all 5 seasons they've committed to be over $1 billion.
Ouch.
If you factor in like
I
all the
think I've
costs they spent to get the rights.
I think I've heard there's something about how it's the most expensive TV series. I use the word TV loosely, by the way, because it's not obviously not on TV, but it's the most expensive TV series ever produced.
Yeah, I think that would the budget then would average almost $25 million an episode. God damn.
Yeah, Game of Thrones wasn't even that expensive, were they?
Not even close. The first season of Game of Thrones only cost $6 million per episode, and the final season, like I think, 16 million per episode.
Ah, I gotcha. The one episode, like episode 3 of that season, probably cost the most because of the big battle that they were building up for.
Yeah, that's an average for the season. Like different episodes of different budgets.
Right.
Like the total budget
Um.
of season 6 was 100 million, so 10 million per episode on average. But episode 9, the Battle of the Bastards, had a $20 million budget.
Gotcha. Random question, by the way. What do you think of the movie Apocalypse Now?
Um, Good movie, intense. Francis Coppola, you know.
Oh, okay, you actually like that. I personally, I quite frankly hated it. More so, I disliked it definitely more than Northman. I just hated the whole mean spiritedness and mockery that it did. I mean, it mocked Vietnam War veterans even more so than Full Metal Jacket did. Like the only character that they shown on there having a moral compass was the main character, and he was supposed to be like essentially the, no offense to anybody out there who is of this type, but to put it loosely, peace-loving hippie character, in the same way that Private Joker was from Full Metal Jacket. Like that seems to be the stereotype with a whole lot of Vietnam War movies, is that everybody is either crazy, a jerk, or a psychopath, except for the one peace-loving hippie in the show.
Well, I think like the
And
point of it was meant to say that like war just desensitizes or robs you of your humanity. It's just kind of about the horror of war. I think the best line in the movie about that charging someone for murder out here is like handing out speeding tickets at the Indy 500.
all right, no, I got the analogy. What was I gonna say though? Um, I mean, sure, I can understand that explanation for why the movie exists, but I just found it to be a bit of a boring slog overall to get through. Whenever something did
it's
happen, it
actually
was all
kind of
like,
like
this is not fun to watch at all.
well, it's kind of like a loose adaptation of a much older story set in Africa, but the Heart of Darkness, where basically in that story basically had someone going down the river in Africa to like intercept this tribal chief who's been causing all kinds of trouble. They basically just took the basics of that plot and put it in Vietnam, a much more recent setting.
I see.
That's kind
Although
of
one Vietnam War movie that I did watch recently and liked more was Hamburger Hill. You ever seen that?
a while ago. Yeah, that was pretty good. I think I remember that. Yeah, yeah,
I liked it mostly because it like had some dignified characters in it. Like, yeah, sure, it had its fools in there too. Like there was the one scene of where the helicopter was overhead and was doing friendly fire. Like obviously, I want to be clear. I want to be clear to everybody. Yes, obviously, Vietnam War had, in fact, its psychopaths and assholes and crazies. I'm not going to deny that. But it seems that a whole lot of other Vietnam War movies just seem to portray that almost everybody was like that. Whereas Hamburger Hill, it definitely shows examples of that. But at the same time, it shows more dignified characters than just the one peace loving hippie. And plus, there's a legitimate camaraderie that is developed between the characters. Like they're kind of racist towards each other, then they get over each other's racism eventually. You know,
yeah. I mean, I figure though like
so
the stress of that war was probably similar to watching Onward. I don't know.
it's similar to watching what?
Onward. I was making a dumb joke. I don't know.
Similar to watching Onward? Is that what you said?
You remember it's like the flashbacks to the Vietnam War or something. Remember?
Oh, oh, I almost forgot about that line. Oh man, I feel bad that I did not remember that one line from the certain bovine Ransona rocking YouTube commentator
Yes. Yeah.
who
Oh,
shall not be named
he
because we're
shall
trying
not
to
be.
keep him irrelevant.
He shall not be named. No. What? But yeah. So, what do you think of my Prince of Egypt parody I did on in my Dumbo review? Trucker, he loved it. He said it's genius, man.
I thought it was great. Like it definitely put a bit of Suicide Mouse vibes in it. Like I don't know if you ever looked into the Suicide Mouse creepypasta, but that's kind of what it felt just a little bit like.
Right. Oh my customer, they were only slaves, huh?
Genius. It definitely like keeps more with a the Mickey Mouse personality than South Park does, because in South Park Mickey Mouse is just like a straight, like, obvious asshole. Whereas the way that you portrayed him, he like tries to keep on his happy persona, but underneath that happy persona, you can tell that there's a psycho.
Right. That. Yeah. Yeah. Sacrifices must be made. I always thought
Right?
I thought about when people would like excuse or ignore what the Communist Party is doing to those people. I always thought of that scene in The Prince of Egypt. Oh my son, they were only slaves. That's what
Right.
I always thought of that scene.
That's
Huh?
it.
So
Really
I
is
thought,
quite stupid.
yes. So
Speaking of,
I
go ahead.
no, you go ahead. You're fine.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, speaking of Prince of Egypt, there's like this one short of where this one girl is like singing the main theme of Dune, and then excuse me, transitions into the Prince of Egypt main theme.
Which main theme of The Prince of Egypt? There's a lot of like big themes in that movie.
Deliver us, that sort of thing. Just a
Oh yeah,
vocalized version of that
the
the
opener.
opening song of it. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah,
Starts
yeah,
off
that
with the one woman doing the hard vocalizing and doing so like that sort of thing.
right. That song.
I dare not.
Yeah, The Prince of Egypt goes hard there. You see slavery, genocide, and everything in the first 5 minutes of that movie. Doesn't hold back.
You know what? Now that I think about it, it was definitely a genius choice to put Hans Zimmer in that movie, or to compose the soundtrack, anyways. Because I never like realized until like recent years, like well after I'd ever watched the Dark Knight trilogy, that Hans Zimmer was the main composer of the Prince of Egypt. Like, damn, that guy has been around a lot as far as music soundtrack composition goes.
Oh yeah. The thing about the Prince of Egypt, you pointed this out before. The director of that movie hasn't really directed anything else, and that's so bizarre. How do you direct one of the best movies ever made and then just disappear?
Right? I mean, she was originally supposed to direct Brave, but I guess Pixar like derailed her and decided to replace her like halfway through.
Yeah, which
I
is
mean,
also kind of bizarre.
Shea Furlow's production. Again, movie reviewer that I respect, even though he can be a little bit too much of. He can kind of show his hand on his leftism a little bit too much, and that's a bit annoying. I will say that he does hate Disney. The Disney main big corporation, anyways. But nonetheless, he did a whole commentary about how that Brave had a troubled production history, and that is in part why it is so bad, because of competing different ideas for the
I don't think
story
Brave is a
and all that
bad
stuff.
movie. It's kind of just all right.
I
Oh,
thought
I
it
wouldn't
was
call it
pretty
bad.
boring. I thought it was pretty boring relative to other Pixar movies, to the average Pixar movie, anyways.
I guess, but bad by Pixar standards versus a bad movie in general are two different things, I guess.
Right. I mean, like you said before, you think you even partially like Cars 2, which is considered the absolute worst of their catalog. That is at least pre 2021, anyways. I don't know.
It's not. It's
I
not
guess
like
as
I don't think it's good per se, but it's like as kids entertainment goes, it's not that bad.
right. Shea production, although thinks it's worse than the Minions movie. What do you
He's
think of that
wrong.
opinion?
He's wrong. He's absolutely,
All right.
completely, and utterly wrong. Yeah.
You know what he also thinks? He says that the Illuminations Grinch movie is like far worse than the Minions movie.
Um, I don't know about that. I don't that I can kind of see. Their Grinch movie was pretty bad too. I thought the what and I know a funny thing about the last Minions movie when it was released in China, the ending was changed because in the Despicable Me movies, of course, all the main characters are criminals. That's kind of what it is. They're all super villains. That's why it's called Despicable Me, and which didn't really sit well with the Chinese censors. So they included an ending where one of the characters who in the American version just rides off in the sunset at the end. They include like text over him in the Chinese version that says he was captured and served 20 years in prison.
Really? What
Real.
for?
Because the character was a criminal, but they don't like the idea of criminals just getting away with it at the end. You know, he was a thief, a old school supervillain, but and he just kind of rides off
Even
into the sunset at the end of the movie. But in the which the Chinese censors did not like.
shit. Even just like that, even more than the American establishment would. Well, actually, I don't know. I guess the American establishment is kind of mixed on that. I mean, you'll have people that are so hard on crime to where that they want to arrest somebody for even weed possession, but then you have people who want to let people get away with shoplifting. So it's more mixed than China, I guess. So never mind.
Well, the best way to describe what the situation in a lot of American cities is anarcho tyranny. They let real hardened criminals get off scot free, and then they charge people for murder for defending themselves from criminals.
And just to let everyone who might be of the anarchist segment of my subscriber base who might be coming in listening, well, let me like try to translate to Jim's words for y'all. When he says anarcho tyranny, he's not meaning like it's anarchist in the least bit. He's saying that he's using the more colloquial definition,
No, no,
saying that they
not
just
at
let
all. That's the thing.
anarchy, let chaos reign so that they can exploit it to be tyrannical. Would that be
Right.
a fair
Yeah.
representation, Loudmouth?
Yeah, it's quite. You actually, anarcho tyranny is the worst kind of system because you get the worst benefits of an authoritarian society and a lawless society at the same time. You literally get the worst of both worlds.
Point made.
You get law,
But
you get lawlessness, you get chaos, you get crime, and you're not allowed to. But you also don't have the freedom to defend yourself from that crime.
right.
Like you saw
Yeah,
that with
that's pretty terrible.
right, like was it just a few months ago they tried to like charge a shopkeeper with murder. He stabbed a guy with a box cutter in the neck who was like attacking him behind the desk. This is a 61-year-old man, a man half his age, jumps over his desk and starts beating him because his girlfriend was
Yeah.
angry at him. And they
I
try.
think I
All right,
remember
and
reading
huh?
I think I remember reading the story too. Was it the old Latino dude in New York?
Yeah, Jose Alba. He so he grabs a box cutter and he stabs the dude in the neck and kills him in what's obviously self-defense. Like, and the DA briefly tried to charge him with second-degree murder.
Bullshit.
Thankfully, the charges were dropped later, but the fact they ever charged him at all is fucking insane. If that ain't self-defense,
Right.
what is?
If the guy was found to have a bit of a hard line, or any, well, even Kyle Rittenhouse wasn't like a hard line right wing, at least pre Amfest and all that stuff. But
No.
If this guy was found to even have a hint of any sort of thing that could be misconstrued as hard line right wing belief or anything like that, he probably would have been his story probably would have got dragged on longer. Jose Alba's, I mean.
Probably, yeah. That's
If I was to
yeah, that
theorize.
with Rittenhouse. I mean, we literally had on video of three fucking criminals attacking this kid, and to this day, you still have morons saying the kid was in the wrong or something.
And
It's
yet,
fucking nuts.
because he said, and yet because he one time said "Blue Lives Matter," it must mean because he was evil and hates Black Lives Matter people, and he
What?
was actually wanting to kill. He was going there with the intent to kill.
Well, you forget though, he also committed a serious crime against humanity when he crossed state lines.
Right, that tiresome talking point.
Yes,
Um,
state lines. You still hear that shit. It's amazing. But at least in his case, yeah, the kid got dragged through hell, but he seems to be benefiting from it now. So what can you do? He's a celebrity. Yeah, he seems to be living it up right now.
So if I can like rewind this conversation a bit, like back to movies, we were talking about Pixar movies and how you generally think that they're meh at worst, if not outright great at best. What do you think of Turning Red and Lightyear? I don't think I've ever heard your opinion about those two
I actually
movies.
haven't watched either of them yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I don't know.
so
I guess
I can't really comment on them, but the previous two, previous ones, Soul, I really liked, and was it Luca was also pretty good.
yeah, Luca was great. It was kind of cotton candy, family friendly filler. Wasn't anything super deep, but it was just a genuinely fun movie.
Yeah, I liked it.
Um,
It kind of had themes of like living in two worlds, growing up, and what have you. Yeah, good movie.
I cannot say much about Turning Red. I guess it got a little bit politicized in some sort of way. But Lightyear, of course, there was the whole gay kiss thing. I mean, it did not really bother me that much. It was very brief for one, but either way, it happened. So obviously, they're going to show it, and this is also the far, far future. So who knows if we like live past our current era? Who knows? Maybe percentage of gay people like it increase or something, and more of
But
that stuff will happen more often. But anyway, nonetheless, I thought that it was an all right movie personally. But
the
I
thing
will
is, though,
say the worst part of it.
Pixar forgets that they
The
already
worst
made
part,
the Buzz Lightyear movie back in the year 2000. It already was
Lightyear,
made.
Buzz Lightyear Star Command.
Yes.
Yeah, I will agree. Buzz Lightyear Star Command was a far funner movie, but the Lightyear movie, I like it for Socks. I mean, Socks the cat was pretty fun. I can't remember her name. The one old curmudgeon criminal character who was afraid of violating her own parole was kind of fun to watch. And I thought that the titular Buzz Lightyear was a fine representation. I mean, it was definitely better than the way they represented him in Toy Story 4, but not as good as they represented him in 1, 2, or even 3 for that matter. Although
Well,
I
I was
kind
just
of
angry about them replacing Tim Allen. I thought that was bullshit because Tim Allen's and I think they did discriminate against him because Tim Allen's a conservative actor, which I think is bullshit.
I mean, that's just your theory, right? You don't have any evidence for that?
No direct evidence. Disney hasn't stated that, but let's be honest. We know Disney does discriminate against conservative actors because of what they did to Gina Carano.
Yeah, no, I won't deny that, but I don't know. On the other hand, you got to look at it this way. Tim Allen is getting pretty old, and honestly, I think that Chris Evans is a big time asshole, but he does a similar enough of Buzz Lightyear voice, in my opinion. He definitely sounds a whole lot more similar to Buzz Lightyear than Patrick Warburton, just my opinion, anyways.
Right, who did it in the TV show?
Yeah, I mean Patrick
But I thought that
Warburton is
TV
like
show it was a cornball kids show, but I thought that is exactly the kind of show that Buzz Lightyear the toy should have came from. I mean, the show he flies through space, he shoots at evil robots and monsters, and gets through and stops the bad guys, and then comes back without a scratch. Everything's fine. The bad guy shouts, "Curse you, Buzz Lightyear!" That's exactly the kind of show I would imagine this toy came from.
right. And so the fact that they opened up the Lightyear movie with in 1990s so forth that a movie came out that made Andy want a Buzz Lightyear action figure. This movie is that movie, and I go thinking to myself, no way that they would have gone ahead and made this type of movie in the 90s. It would have been a whole lot more like fun to watch. I mean, that's one of the main things that this movie suffers under is that it took its own plot way too seriously, honestly. And
Yeah.
speaking of those blasting evil robots and monsters, that's another really bad part about it is the villain.
Oh, Chair's here. Chair, my
Hey,
man,
what's
how's it
up?
going?
I don't have my cam on right now because I'm ugly, but what's up?
So what, man? We don't care.
What are you talking about?
We've just been talking about movies. I was wondering what'd you think of my new Dumbo review, Chair?
I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched a small clip from it that you posted, and I was like, trying to figure out. I didn't watch the whole thing yet, though, but I was trying to figure out the relevance of that clip with Dumbo, and I'm like,
In context of it, I kind of like point out it has an evil rich guy villain in the movie, okay, and
yeah.
and it kind of tries to virtue signal and say how entertainment companies should be like more ethical and how they treat their workers and their animals, and I'm just like, get fucked, Disney. Remember all this shit you did?
People are complaining about Pinocchio. What's the problem that people are having with it?
I haven't watched it yet, so I honestly don't know. I've heard it's terrible though.
No, there's a couple moments where it was like really cheesy, whatever, where they stuck like because of the director. One of the when the clocks go off in the original Pinocchio, all the clocks go off at once and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, they did that, but the clocks had like Donald Duck, and one of the clocks was Roger Rabbit, and one because of Zemeckis. And I don't know. People are complaining about it, but there's not really anything that different in it from the original. Like, it's not really like there's one part where I really thought Tom Hanks was gonna do an Italian accent, right? But he doesn't, just an old man voice. But then Michael Keys or whatever his name is comes in. he knocks on the. It's this one line. He knocks on the door and asks to buy a clock, but he's using the really like the SNL type of Italian accent. And it was really, really bad. But after that,
You
like I
know,
didn't see anything.
if I may like quote some criticism, well, not verbatim, as to why that people think that the movie is so bad. Schaefer's production, he said that he just thought that it was dull and boring for one, and two, he thought it made absolutely no sense why they made it live action, because something like a walking, talking fox that dresses in sophisticated men's clothing just makes absolutely no sense for a live action movie. I mean, and on that point, I seem to vaguely remember there being like a 70s or something like that. It was an older live action Pinocchio where there was absolutely no CGI, and they made that character, the con man character, a mustache twirling sleazeball and a top hat. I mean, he's just a regular old dude with a rockin' sinister mustache. Is all he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's actually going to be another Pinocchio adaptation in a couple months by Guillermo del Toro, director of Pan's Labyrinth for Netflix. I probably will watch that one. That one might actually be interesting.
And then they did a dark one a while ago too, where they did the actual story.
Yeah, the original story that's based on, which is in the public domain, Disney doesn't have any rights to it, is actually like really fucking dark and sadistic. He actually crushes Jiminy Cricket in the original story.
I know.
And honestly,
Pinocchio gets like strung up or hung or something like that.
Yeah.
Shafe also mentioned as to how that in the movie they really dumbed down a whole lot of the aspects of Pleasure Island. Excuse me, of how that instead of drinking regular beer, they just drank root beer. And they did not smoke any cigars or anything like that. Like they weren't being actual bad boys. And
well, you can't smoke in Disney movies anymore.
It's so fucking lame. So fucking lame. It's
that's why even with the Batman, it was the same deal where they really wanted, the Penguin to have a cigar or whatever.
Wait, what?
I miss the days when cartoon characters smoked.
In the Batman, the Penguin, the original Penguin, smoked. Right.
Okay, but in the Robert Pattinson movie, they wanted to have him have a cigar in his mouth, but they decided not to do that.
Warner Brothers wouldn't let him.
What the fuck? Why? It's not like a whole bunch of kids are going to watch this and easily be influenced by it. It's mostly going to be teenagers and adults watching this movie, and they're going to know based off of their own experience and research on whether or not they want to smoke. They're not going to be that easily influenced by watching a vaguely penguin-looking mafia boss smoke.
Right.
So now, like
Pinocchio, though, Pinocchio was very clearly the original. It was anti-smoking. It portrays him. Pinocchio smokes, and it's portrayed like he gets sick afterwards. Like this is not a pro-smoking portrayal.
Right, precisely. And another aspect of how the original Pinocchio movie was kind of anti-smoking and even anti-drinking for that matter, especially for underage kids, is because of the fact that they turned into donkeys right afterwards. And yet they took that.
You act like a jackass, you turn into one. That was the point.
Exactly. And they took that out with the live action.
Because Tom Hanks in the Elvis movie, the most racist portrayal like you'll ever see in your life. And nothing like the guy. And the accent was horrible. But at least in this one, he wanted to play Geppetto, so it's something he wanted to do,
What accent was he supposed to put on for the Elvis movie?
I don't know. It's a really bad Southern accent, but like Texas or
Southern.
Something like that.
Wait. Someone's saying Zemeckis. Did Zemeckis direct the new Pinocchio remake?
Is that who it was? Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, Shafe was going on about how it was him. And he was also going on a whole
so much, man. He used to direct some of like my favorite movies.
But that's why they threw a Roger Rabbit clock in there just to be like, oh look, funny.
Yeah, he directed Who Framed Roger Rabbit. That's like one of the best movies of the Back to the Future. Man, these are great movies. Forrest Gump.
Yeah, no. But that's why they
How did he
probably
fall
chose
off
him.
that far?
That's probably why they chose him to work with Tom Hanks because
But yeah, I mean, just like with Tim Burton, and I talk about in my Dumbo review, there was a time long, long ago where Tim Burton did make good movies. There was like Big Fish from 2003, excellent movie.
Yeah.
And of course, there's Corpse Bride. Everybody loves Nightmare Before Christmas. There's the first
Technically,
two Batman
Burton didn't
movies.
direct Nightmare Before Christmas.
Mm.
Henry
didn't?
Selick directed Nightmare Before Christmas.
Well, that's something.
Well, there is a new
I guess
a TV show
Go
next
ahead.
year with Robert Zemeckis called Tuned Out, starring Christopher Lloyd somehow, with a whole bunch of iconic cartoon characters. I'm not saying who.
When
but
I killed your brother, I sounded just like this.
So I don't know about Christopher Lloyd though. I thought he was so out of it now that like.
Yeah, Christopher Lloyd is a real old geezer. He should be retired like Sean Connery was before he died.
Yeah, isn't he like in his 80s now? Yeah, he's old.
It's also got Zach Galifianakis in it though.
I will say that it's coming to a point of where that Sylvester Stallone is definitely going to have to just give up acting, and maybe he can be a producer or even a director or something, but he's definitely going to like break something permanently if he keeps on going the way he does.
Yeah, that man is in great shape for a man his age, and he still managed to kick ass as Rambo.
This movie is going to have everybody in it. It's going to have the Flintstones are in it. Elmer Fudd's in this thing. The Animaniacs are in there. Bernie, like,
they better do a dirty joke and say good night, everybody, at the end.
And of course, all the old original cartoon characters, right? But yeah, it's weird. I don't know why.
By the way, I know this is kind of cut short a little bit, but I am gonna have to go here pretty soon. So, was there like any final closing words or anything like that? Any questions that anybody wanted to ask me or whatever?
Not really. Just good luck to you. Good chatting with you. It's been a while.
Yeah, it was a great conversation and all that.
Yeah.
Sorry that we could not talk longer about movies and all that stuff, Chair, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm only planning on keeping this going for a few more minutes anyway, but good luck to you, man.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, and y'all have a good day. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
All right.
I
Oh, so Chair, how you been?
Good.
Go.
The last really dumb movie I watched though was called Fall, which is about mountain climbers who climb up a radio tower and get stuck.
Oh, I think I saw the preview of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be really tough for people who like climb up that high to change those bulbs. And they showed the guy who does it. He gets paid like $20,000 every time he makes the trip.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, but I don't think that's worth it.
But it's really dumb because they have like a drone in their bag and they're like, oh, we could fly the drone. And then there's not enough battery in the drone. And then they finally signal somebody and they steal their car.
Well, if it's in modern times, would it be hard to signal somebody? Couldn't you just like call someone with a phone?
Yeah, but their phone batteries were dead and then they couldn't do it. And
were
then,
they
like,
really that stupid that they would climb up that high and not charge their fucking batteries?
But it's an old radio tower that isn't working anymore, so they don't have any battery power.
Right.
And I don't know, they dropped the phone in a shoe or something to try and have it send something to social media when they get down or whatever. And it was just like, it's an okay movie, I guess, but it's just like those shark movies where like, oh no, they're trapped underwater in a cage, you know.
Right.
All that bullshit, so we'll see.
Cool. Yeah, but in terms of like how that fit, yeah, that clip fits into context. It's basically because I basically not only do I attack Dumbo 2019, I attack the corporate policies of the Walt Disney Corporation, and that little clip is just kind of a pot shot I take at the Walt Disney Corporation's practices.
Well, yeah, especially modern Disney.
Right. Particularly,
I mean,
that's
yeah, Walt Disney was a jerk, but the way they're handling it now, just even worse. It's just like, ugh, just kowtowing to every corporate interest that they have, right?
yeah, and sucking up to the CCP constantly,
Yeah.
farting out these shitty ass remakes.
Yep. It's true.
So yeah, these remakes, they're just they seem to keep getting worse.
Yeah.
Like the remake of Mulan in particular, genuinely might be one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life, bar none.
Like this Little Mermaid thing, people are like, "Oh, you're just mad that she's black." It's like, no, the lighting is all screwed up. It just doesn't look good. That's why. Like,
I mean, the movie will probably be bad in some ways we don't even know, but I kind of get why they cast this chick. I mean, she is very pretty and she can sing. I actually looked up her like singing the national anthem or something, and she can sing.
yeah, so they didn't do bad with that, but it's just like, I don't know, the lighting just seems weird, and it doesn't seem like it. I noticed the trailer doesn't even show Melissa McCarthy yet, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's what I'm really worried about. That will probably be the worst thing about it.
Yep.
And like, though mermaids being pretty and being able to sing was a very sinister thing about them in like old sailors folk tales. Mermaids, they're also kind of known as sirens. They were typically like very beautiful women, and they're above half, and they had beautiful voices that would lure men in, and then they'd drag men to their deaths.
People point out that there was a Hispanic mermaid in the original, and I wonder if they're going to actually put her in the new movie or not.
There was a what mermaid in the original?
There's like a Hispanic deaf mermaid, wasn't there?
Not in the original movie. That was in like the TV show from the early '90s, which was like a prequel TV show Disney made.
Oh, but I
No,
wonder.
all the mermaids were white in the original movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it is based on a Danish folktale. That does make sense.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like it's kind, yeah. But Ariel, of course, in the Little Mermaid, she saves a drowning sailor instead of causing a sailor to drown. So pretty much the exact opposite of mermaids in mythology.
Yeah. Well, I was watching something about they're talking about musicals and stuff, but the guy in the video is talking about in Les Mis how how bad it was because Russell Crowe or whatever was basically not drinking water between takes and stuff, and like would go full out singing 8 hours at a time, where they kept redoing it because they wanted to do it live, and how they weren't able to sing properly, and that's why it sounded bad, because they weren't taking care of their bodies well enough or whatever.
Yeah,
and like, yeah, with these movies. Well, no, because what you're supposed to do is sing the song in a studio and then mouth the words when you're live, right?
Right.
But they're doing live action, but like a lot of the characters are still gonna be animated creatures or whatever. So I don't know.
Yeah, probably will. It'll probably will have just as much computer animation as actual live action in that movie. So that's the thing. They couldn't really have done a live action Little Mermaid movie up until recently because the technology wouldn't allow. You can't really shoot it underwater. So all you can do is with recent digital effects, you make it look like it's underwater.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. The clip looks bad because they're trying to make it look like she's underwater with a spotlight or whatever, and it's just like, and that might not be what the final product looks like anyway. So,
well, yeah, I pointed out that the early teaser trailer for a movie that's like out in 10 months is not going to be, the effects aren't going to be anywhere close to finished. Compare like King Kong, the 2005 King Kong, the very first trailer to the final movie, massive improvement.
Yeah.
So I'm sure So in terms of like the visuals, yeah, they're not very good now, but they're probably going to be better in the final movie. So I'll give that a pass. But it's probably going to still be a bad movie in just some way we don't even know. Like they're probably going to do something stupid to fuck up the story I don't know what it will be, but they'll do something. Just because modern Disney can't seem to help themselves.
Yeah.
Because they've done it already so many times. I mean, it probably won't be as bad as the Mulan remake, but who knows?
Yeah.
The reason why I did the Dumbo remake is because Dumbo was like a childhood favorite of mine, and it pissed me off the way that the remake just bastardized all its themes.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I also kind of point out, as a kid with autism, I could relate to Dumbo kind of feeling like an outcast, you know?
Yeah, just too bad you couldn't fly.
Right. I can't fly with my ears. My ears may be unusual, but I still can't fly with them. So using your ears as wings is kind of just the weirdest way anything's ever.
Huh? I was watching because I never watched the whole thing. I started to watch like Moon Knight yesterday, and watching that thing, I was like, "That's not how schizophrenia works." Like Oscar Isaac character is supposed to have schizophrenia in that show, and it's like, yeah, someone didn't do their research at all.
What show are you talking about?
Moon Knight.
Yeah, I've never watched it.
Well, basically, he's supposed to have multiple personalities, and one of them is like, speaking for the Egyptian gods or whatever.
Nice.
But it's a really bad portrayal of schizophrenia, and that's the only problem. All these movies, like even with autism, it's like when they put some autistic kid in a movie, it's always like some savant.
Yeah, the worst example was Predator 2018. I fucking hated that movie so much.
Well, that's because Shane Black is just bad as a writer.
I can only conclude that he's a fucking idiot because you listen to the writing of that movie, it really comes across like you're watching something that was written by morons. No other way to describe it.
Yeah, pretty much.
You think autism is a superpower. It's so stupid.
Like it took them doing this native thing with the Predator to make a good Predator movie for once.
Yeah, and even that one, like the newest one, Prey, I liked it. I gave it like a 7 out of 10, but it wasn't like great or anything. It was pretty good and certainly a massive improvement over whatever the fuck they fired out in 2018.
It was definitely a teenage Predator though, because this Predator kind of dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, there are. I won't call the main character Nora, I think her name was. She wasn't really like a Mary Sue. I mean, the character did have flaws and growth throughout the movie, but she definitely had some main character plot armor where she seems to survive pretty much just because she's the main character when she probably should have gotten the axe here or there.
Yeah.
Gets lucky a few times. But that's, I guess, common with these kind of movies, so it's not like a huge deal.
It's still better than Rings of Power, though, where she's like the first episode, she fights an ice troll and takes that down when everyone else gets killed. And then one of the other later episodes, she like manages to fight off 3 guards and throw them in a jail cell with one hand. And I'm like, yeah.
Well, I actually saw that clip. I haven't watched the show, but I did see that clip. That was bad. She barely like this. She barely like moves her arm and she just pushes them there. Like, this is embarrassing fight choreography from a show with how much millions per episode.
Yeah, but it all went into the visuals because some of it looks good. Like the scenery and stuff looks cool, but
actually a huge portion of the budget, they spent a few $100 million to Tolkien's estate just to get the rights to do a Lord of the Rings show.
Yeah, it was like 750 or something.
Something like that.
And then another 250 million that they spent. So it's like $1 billion show. And that's what's funny about it, is it's just like, and then of course, do you see the press that was like, oh, if this show fails, Amazon's gonna go under and all this stuff? And I was like, nah.
Amazon's not going to go under, but I heard it could cause problems to their streaming service, so it could. But obviously, Amazon as a whole is not going to go under. Not a chance.
Well, Bezos just got beat out by some, like, I forget where he was from, but someone just beat him out for second place for richest man or whatever.
I thought Elon Musk was the richest man on earth.
Elon Musk is first, and I believe that what's his face from Bezos was second, and now it's some Indian guy, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Some Indian guys richer than Bezos? Huh.
Yeah, apparently just recently. And
Damn.
That's funny though. It's like they don't care what people actually want to see on their streaming service. They care about what advertisers want to do. Like YouTube now is testing like 4 clusters of ads instead of just one ad. You'll get like 4 non-skippable ads in a row. And it's just like, oh my god, ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I get a lot of services are doing that. They have the cheaper bundle with ads and then the more expensive option that's ads free.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that, but I haven't seen a single episode of Rings of Power. Don't really have much desire to. I did see for at least the first episode of House of Dragons on HBO Max. That was actually pretty damn good.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but I hear that's a lot better than as far as fantasy stuff goes.
Oh yeah, first episode had all you expect from Game of Thrones. It had fantasy elements, power manipulations, and extremely dark and tragic events, and heapious amounts of gore, and occasional porn.
Pretty much
all you expect from Game of Thrones.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is at least that one is sort of based on the original thing. Like with Lord of the Rings, they just totally ignored all of it, basically.
Yeah, I've heard that like the creators didn't care about being true to Tolkien at all.
Well, no, because they bought the rights, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, doesn't mean you just because you can doesn't mean you should do whatever you want.
Yeah, but they never consider whether or not they should. They just do it.
They just do it. Yeah. Even if it means spending $1 billion, because Bezos will bail them out no matter what.
Well, if you want giant locusts, that's how you get giant locusts.
Right. Was that a reference to the last Jurassic World movie?
Yeah.
Oh God, that movie. You watch? I did a live stream like review on it with Trucker. It was wasn't a fan of it. It was easily the worst of the series.
Well, yeah, but there were parts with the actual dinosaurs which were actually somewhat decent, but then they had to have that awesome side storyline, which made no sense. Because they only show one attack. The locusts only attack the one time, and then they don't show it after that. And you're like, okay, but I thought they were decimating the entire world.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. If I just want to watch a computer animated dinosaurs, I'll watch Prehistoric Planet. No need for this.
Because the thing they don't realize is most of the people who were fans of Jurassic World are probably younger people, probably weren't even around when the original came out, and they're like, "Who the hell's Dodson?" They're like,
"Dodson, we got Dodson here."
Like most of the people, the younger fans of it, probably don't even remember him.
Yeah,
and it's a different actor, so
no, it's the same actor.
Is it? I don't know. He looks
29 years later, but the thing is, though, he just was not a good villain. He was very. There just wasn't much to this guy.
No, just shoehorned in there.
Yeah, his goals are often inconsistent. Don't make sense. Like first, you're like told that he's like trying to develop these insects to like hold the world's food supplies hostage, but then later reveals, oh no, he wants to actually stop the insects. And then, yeah, where are you going? What's this guy's motive? What's he doing? Why is he creating deadly weapons and then like not, and then complaining about their use? This character is just worthless.
I think it would have been better if they didn't kill off what's his face, the military guy. Because he's used to playing villains and stuff, and like would have been better probably.
What the guy from the first Jurassic World?
Forget what his face is. I don't remember his name all the time. I always forget it. I'll just call him Kingpin because.
Well, I just can't get over the whole plot in the last two movies of people modifying dinosaurs to attack something you point a laser at is one of the stupidest plot lines ever. In what universe is having a dinosaur kill something you point a laser at more efficient than, I don't know, shooting it? If you have a laser pointed at something, just shoot it.
Yeah, no.
Duh.
Well, that was the thing. It's like a final movie in that franchise, and then they blew it by like, I don't know. They threw nostalgia in there, but it didn't work. And then like, it should have been, I don't know, more about the dinosaurs, considering it's the last movie they're gonna do about Jurassic Park. But
I doubt it'll be the last, because it still made money, so they're probably gonna fart out something in a few years.
Make a spin-off of some kind.
Yeah. Well, I guess you can only go up from here, my hope.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and like the whole the new villain dinosaur they made, the Giganotosaur, is it was so poorly designed. It looks like it has a weird crocodilian like quality, which is totally inaccurate.
Yeah.
And also it's a myth. They say Giganotosaurus was larger than Tyrannosaurus Rex. It was not. They were pretty similar in size, but Tyrannosaurus is actually believed to be slightly larger.
Yeah. I like the thing where archaeologists were talking about, you know, that stupid Vanity Fair has these videos where they're like, oh, expert in such and such watches movies, right?
Yeah.
So they had an archaeologist guy talking about dinosaur movies and stuff, and he was mentioning the fact that in Jurassic Park, you got to consider the moral quandary that the people who do want to study amber and stuff, that they're still using forced labor in the amber mines and everything. And how talking about all the ethical stuff, and that could have been something interesting to explore with the modern age and stuff, but no, of course not. You just have to have Chris Pratt riding a motorcycle.
Well, actually, what I think the direction they should have gone with this movie is they should have focused just on dinosaur trafficking. They could have used it to like bring attention in real life to like real life animal trafficking, and kind of like all the issues involved in that. And they did that a little bit, but they didn't. But it was just like a footnote. That should have been like the plot of the movie.
Yeah. Well, I didn't like how Blue somehow understands English now. Like.
Well, I mean, Blue was raised by humans. I mean, he raised Blue since she was a chick.
I know, but when he's standing there and he says, "I'm gonna get your babies back," and she like nodded at him like she understood what he said. And I'm
well,
like,
I don't think she did understand what it said. I mean, she did bite him, but she just kind of didn't kill him either. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it really makes it clear that she understood what he's saying.
Yeah. Because, like, here's my question. Whatever happened to his grandkids? Like, where did they go? Like in the first movie, you had those grandkids.
Yeah, they'd be in their 30s now.
I know, but it would have been bring them back or something.
Yeah, they could have, but I don't know. Maybe that neither actor wanted to come back. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. Anyway. It's about it. At least it's better to talk about movies than the stupid Queen. I'm so sick of it. It's like, it's done. Who cares? It's over.
Queen, you're talking? Yeah, the Queen. Yeah.
And now people are like, how come Canada had so many leaders going? It's like, because she's our head of state. Like, people are like, oh no, but she was the Queen of Canada. It's like, that term is so stupid. It's like, no, she wasn't the Queen of Canada, but whatever.
Queen of the British Empire, of which Canada was a part.
I know.
I mean, yeah, I mean, 96 years old. She lived a hell of a life. She
I
died.
know, but Trudeau's sitting there being like, in a big fancy surroundings. He's sitting there in a chair and they're filming him, and he's like, "Oh, all the influence and stuff that she had over Canada." It's like, where? Like,
Did
I
she
don't
even
know.
like Trudeau?
I don't know the last time I heard where Trudeau went down to talk with the Queen today. It's like, when? I don't know. I don't. She probably didn't like him. I know she hated Trump. I know that much.
Right.
But like, a lot of people did just because he's a meathead. But like, I don't know.
96 years old. You know, it'll happen to all of us someday. What else is there to say?
Yeah, I know. That's why a lot of people are like, "Oh, how did so and so know that she was gonna die?" It's like, because she's old.
Because if you predict someone's going to die, you're 100% guaranteed to eventually be proven right.
Yeah.
Just give it time.
Oh,
That,
I'm sure you
that's
heard
how it
about
fucking is.
this Martha's Vineyard hilarity.
Oh, I love that. That's funny as fuck. I bet those migrants in Martha's Vineyard were having the time of their lives. They're probably seeing it as like a vacation.
Well, they're being somewhat taken care of, but they were lied to about where they were going and that they were gonna have jobs when they got there and all this shit. Like, other than that, it was kind of actually a funny move for them to do it. But it's like, it's not like it was actually her house. It's the residence. Like, I bet they don't go there that often. But what's the funny part is like, they have all these bed and breakfasts out there, like 12 different ones that have openings, and they're like, we don't have any beds for anybody. It's like, yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
You just don't want to let them in.
Yeah. You
But
don't
it's
like
true though. You don't put up a sign that says all immigrants welcome, and then just 50 immigrants show up. And I get it. You're supposed to call ahead and be like, hey, these people are coming. But like, yeah, I just think it's silly.
Yeah, DeSantis even like trolled them. He gave them a sign of where they were. It just was basically a map that had an arrow pointing from Texas to Martha's Vineyard, like a line.
Well, like this article here on CNN, migrants' 44-hour stay leaves indelible mark on Martha's Vineyard. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, someone did a joke where they photoshopped Obama's and Barack and Michelle Obama's face over the McCloskey's holding guns up to people on their property. Meanwhile, at Martha's Vineyard, that made me laugh.
Well, that's the thing is, it's like, yeah, all the rich people had never actually seen like them actually have to be hospitable to people. A lot of them probably never dealt with it. But the funny thing is most of the people who are complaining probably just have summer homes there and weren't even there at the time. So,
right. So why don't the rich people like let them stay in one of their summer homes while they're gone?
Well, exactly. But that's the thing is, the Obama residence is huge. Like, it's a mansion. It's like giant.
Yeah.
But it's not just them. They have tons of houses out there that are huge.
Yeah, Obama's worth what, 100 million something?
But the funny thing is, it's in their illegal immigrants. They're not. They're legal immigrants that they brought over. And then, so Biden got called out on secretly shipping people from Texas to New York, and now he's just doing it publicly. Now they can be out in the open about their buses.
Yeah, I think it's a good troll move on DeSantis' part because the left can't really articulate why it's wrong. They can't without sounding like hypocritical and out of touch elitists.
Yeah, it's like, give us a place to send them. Tell us where to send them then,
Yeah.
Because like, you got all these people coming in and you're going to let, like same with Canada, just letting a whole ton of people in and you don't have the infrastructure to support them.
Right.
That's where the problem comes in. It's like, not this diversity is our strength bullshit.
Correct. Someone else like posted this picture from sorry, not picture, like a little clip from some Ben Stiller movie. I'm not sure which one. It has these like Mexicans like playing this Mexican music while he's like out to dinner with his wife or something, and he just flips out on them. It's a clip from a movie, but of like meanwhile Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah.
Like that's funny.
It makes me think of Step Brothers when they're like, it's the motherfucking Catalina wine mixer. It makes me think of Catalina for some reason. Well, yeah, it's that type of situation, and it's just so funny that like it's amazing how childish these politicians are. Like it just
they really are.
That's why politics. I'm always laughing at it because it's just so ridiculous. It's just like, okay,
Idiocracy, man, idiocracy.
Yeah, exactly. Ugh.
That's
Yeah,
the
that's
world we
about it.
live.
Nothing.
What? Let's see. I don't know. What else been going on in your life, man?
Nothing really. Just the usual. Just sleeping a lot.
Yeah.
Trying to get up motivation to actually make YouTube videos and stuff.
I mean,
Like,
I found the motivation to make a 45-minute Dumbo review, even though Disney fucked me over again. That's one of the main things I was getting frustrated by is I kept getting these copyright claims, and they screw you in the algorithm. So most of my subscribers don't even know I posted anything because of these claims. So I'm like, I waste dozens of hours putting together a video, and then YouTube and Disney like fuck me over, man.
The only other way around it is you could use still frames instead of video, but
yeah, but it wouldn't be as good then.
I know. Oh, speaking of bad reviews, though, I saw it was Nostalgia Critic or whatever. One of his recent ones it was so bad. It's just like, oh, stop with the skits. You're killing me.
Yeah, he's overdone it with the skits for a long time now.
Yeah, it was his review of Jurassic World or whatever, and they just had Malcolm and Heather and Tamara and all those people in there, and the skit they were doing was just really bad. It's just like,
good old Doug Walker. He can be a bit hit and miss sometimes, but he's put out some stuff I like. I remember I made my channel. I kind of like modeled myself after him a little bit when I started.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, at first it was good, but then all the stuff that came out about what a dick they can be over there, and
I mean, none of the accusations against Walker were really all that bad. I mean, most of them were just kind of, yeah, a little bit being a dick, but nothing was like serious.
I mean, yeah, he's controlling over his brand. That's pretty much it. I mean,
can you blame the guy though for being a little controlling over his brand when the guy was 27 years old? He worked as a night janitor. He lived with his parents. Then he became the Nostalgia Critic, and then he became kind of an internet celebrity. Can you blame the guy for being protective of that brand?
I'd rather watch those videos than these stupid videos with all these guys who are reviewing all these shows and they have their stupid bias and their thumbnails are all the same. They take the same old feminist woman and stick them in the thumbnail. I'm like,
probably the best recent review I've seen this year. Definitely Your Movie Sucks review of The Lion King 2019. That review was excellent. I will never review The Lion King 2019 just because there's no way I could top that. That was an excellent review.
I just hate it when they're like, oh, this movie's gonna be crap and it's gonna be all woke and stuff before they've even seen it, and then they see it and then they're like, yeah, I told you. And I'm just like, okay, but you already had the bias going into the review, so.
Yeah, but a lot of the time it is. I mean, because even in the better ones, there's still wokeness seems to slip in. Usually it's small, and if it's small, you can almost just ignore it if the movie's good enough. But if it's like all over the place, it becomes insufferable.
And Red Letter Media uploaded another video about Dick the Birthday Boy. So
Pick the birthday boy.
yeah, you never see Red Letter Media how they Rich has a picture of himself. There's a picture of Rich when he was like 6 years old, wearing a shirt that says Dick the Birthday Boy on it.
I haven't watched Red Letter Media in a while. I remember their old Plinkett reviews. Some of them made me laugh. Star Wars: The Phantom Menace was the most disappointing thing since my son.
They mostly have given up on the whole. They're still doing it on occasion, but they've given up on the whole VHS repair set thing and like all that. I'm just talking about like the Black Spine ones and stuff. They made a VR game where you can wander around the studio and collect VHS tapes or something like that.
Well, milking it.
Yeah,
Milking that internet fame. Yeah, they've been around for a while. Long time. Because their Phantom Menace review that came out all the way back in 2009, and their review of the Next Generation movies was older than that.
Yeah, but then they did the whole Star Wars thing, which was hilarious because like he's using a droid as a fleshlight or whatever.
His review of Indiana Jones 4 was also really good.
Yeah. It's just funny though to watch them lose their minds and stuff because it's like with the last season of Picard or whatever, they're like, we're done. I'm not gonna he's like, I'm not gonna review any more Star Trek because this is so bullshit.
I have not actually watched a single episode of a single Star Trek show post 2017. I've not watched it. I just refuse.
Well, if you do watch any, the one to watch is Strange New Worlds or whatever. That's the only one recently that's somewhat decent. It's still kind of shit in parts, but for the most part, it's the only one that feels like Star Trek, you know?
Right. I watched some of Doomcock's reviews of the show. Man, he hates Star Trek Discovery. And he talked about one episode that had this race figures out how to build their own starships because they see the Enterprise go by. I'm like, bullshit. If I watch a car drive by, does that give me the knowledge on how to build one? Stupid. Who wrote this shit?
Yeah, the whole plot in Discovery got kind of old and silly. Like, even the first season they had, she was going off and lighting up stars or something like that. I can't remember. Second one was like called The Burn, where there's a bunch of whatever they power their engines with. I forget what it's called. That chemical, anyway. And it all burned up and exploded, and then basically the Federation had to start over. And that's where they're at now, where like Stacey Abrams or whatever her name was like the Queen of Earth or something.
I saw this parody of Star Trek Discovery that has like the musing technology they got there to like imagine if they had it in Voyager and they like instantly are able to get back to her. Then the credits start rolling. It says executive dickhead Robert Kurtzman.
Well, yeah, just because he's always the stuff that he's writing is just ridiculous at this point.
Oh my god. That had me laughing pretty hard. Executive dickhead Robert Kurtzman.
But I think that's the only reason why Strange New Worlds works better is because he's not as highly involved as he was with the other ones.
Right. I believe it.
Because like at least having Pike or whatever is different. At least they have a different captain or whatever.
Is it really that different? I mean, yeah, Pike. He's barely in the original series. He's played by the guy who played Jesus in King of Kings.
So I don't know when they're planning to end the series, but they definitely are because in the thing he knows the future where he's seen a vision of the future of where he's in the wheelchair and all that crap, right?
Really?
Where supposedly he saves a bunch of kids, but then ends up in that wheelchair forever or whatever, and like he's all afraid of his future and wants to prevent it, but he can't. And then like, yeah, it's just
That actually is an interesting idea. That's like kind of can you change your fate kind of deal. So that's actually
it's
not a
not
bad
really-
idea. If done well, that actually could really work.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is because it seems like they're actually going on missions and they're actually doing stuff. It's not this with Discovery, it's like the overarching story took over. And then with Picard, it's like it's just doesn't feel like Star Trek with Picard. Because like they go to the past or whatever, and then when they go to the past, it turns out that it's this totalitarian regime and that Picard is supposed to be running I forget what they called it. Elimination Day, where they were going to kill the Borg Queen once and for all and eliminate all the Borg.
Which I remember, if you remember, Picard once had an opportunity to do that in an episode of season 5, and he chose not to because the Borg are a species and he couldn't commit genocide even against the Borg.
Yeah, but 7 of 9 is also the president of Earth. I'm like,
Yeah.
And then the one chick that's in it, Girardi, whatever her name is, she becomes the new Borg Queen. So yeah.
And one update, I've talked to about the whole TMS thing. I'm thinking, and I might be traveling to do it soon. I don't know the exact date or when it's going to happen, but I'm thinking of like doing like a live blogging series, my treatment there.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, you'll see me recover from an autist to something far beyond that. Evolve to the next stage.
Autism is the next stage of evolution. You forgot.
Well, that's only if you're an idiot and you watch Shane Black movies, but sadly it is not.
Yeah, I know. I think it's funny that like a lot of people don't understand that it's quite a big spectrum now.
Yeah, but they still only place about 2% of the population on the autistic spectrum, so it's not that big of a spectrum.
Yeah, but it's like more and more they're over-diagnosing it, right now.
Right. But 2% of the population among America, that's still like 7 million people. It's still a lot of people.
Yeah. And well, there's one supposed doctor that I went to, and like they would diagnose kids of having ADHD, right?
Yeah.
They would have them in the office and they would have them jump up and down.
As kids do.
Yeah. And then that was enough for them to be like, yep, autistic or ADHD or whatever.
Right.
I was in the office with my stepdaughter at the time and like trying to get her diagnosis of like ADHD, autism, whatever it was. They said ADHD and ODD or whatever, which was stupid. Apparently, in the doctor's notes, she wrote down that the kid was all over the place and like, causing so much trouble and not sitting still and blah, blah, blah. She was sitting there playing with the toy the whole time. She asked like 2 questions, and apparently that was enough for the doctor to be like, yeah, this kid is all over the place. And it's just like, screw off.
Well, yeah, that does remind me of like this episode of South Park where a guy reads a whole novel to the kids, and when they couldn't remember one detail, he said, "You have ADHD."
But these are the corrupt doctors that are like paid off by the child protection people and whatever. So,
right.
And it's
Well,
just
with me, yeah, I wasn't like even diagnosed till I was in my early 20s. So,
which happens with a lot of people, and then
yeah,
sometimes they're also confusing OCD symptoms with autism now too. So,
yep, the human brain is a complex thing. Do you hear about that story of the saying in China they've invented an algorithm that can read minds?
I don't know about that, but usually any AI type stuff like that ends up really bad in the end.
I mean, theoretically, if you think about it, if all our thoughts are just synapses firing between our brain, then a sufficiently advanced AI it could simply measure your brain activity and determine what you're thinking.
Yeah, but then you got the AI eventually deciding that we're a threat to ourselves, and then
Well, that's why actually, like SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, assumes that more than likely any kind of like spacefaring intelligence probably would be an artificial life form. They probably like exterminated the organics that built it eons ago, and has just been traveling through space, expanding itself. The distance between spaces would be irrelevant to it because it would effectively be immortal.
Yeah. Well, with Chinese algorithms like that, though, it can be scary too because they hide their algorithms in programs like TikTok and then get the whole U.S. hooked on it.
That's why I don't have a TikTok.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand why anyone would have a TikTok. Especially women, man. I mean, so many of them like feel the need to like show off on TikTok. It's embarrassing.
Well, TikTok is like the new Vine, I guess, but
right.
Oh, I know, but you see the stuff that they say on there, and you're like, "Are you an idiot?" Like,
yeah, the libs of TikTok, the dumb shit she finds, the people publicly post.
Well, the latest one is that high school teacher with the fake boobs,
Yeah, what's the deal with that shit? I didn't even look into it much.
They claim that they were trans, and the high school actually said, "Oh, we heard the complaints, but we're fully supportive of people's gender identities and blah blah blah." It's like, yeah, but this person is wearing a giant inflatable prosthetic with the huge boobs on that are so unrealistic that nobody would have, and the nipples on the prosthetic are hard all the time.
I just looked it up. Libs of TikTok was not banned on Twitter. Cancer. The count's still there.
No, they were banned at one point.
Huh?
They got it back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're banned for a minute. But yeah.
That's what I find funny though about the teachers. They're defending. It's like people aren't complaining about the fact that, well, some are, but most people aren't complaining about the fact that they want to identify as a woman. That's fine. But these boobs are cartoonish boobs. They're so big, and they're in shop class. She's using a table saw, and she almost cut her boobs in half with the table saw.
Aren't they fake boobs anyway?
Yeah, but it'd be funny if they're using the saw and then she cuts through it and you just hear this hissing noise. Ugh. Yeah, and that's the point. It's like that's what people were complaining about. It's like the fact that you got these big giant things sticking out, and it's like, and the person isn't doing it because they identify as a woman with big boobs. It's like, no, they're doing it because of the attention. That's it.
Yep. Right.
And it's like, get a life. But like, I don't know. And what's funny about it is, that all the kids in that class are just making fun of them all day long outside of that
feels
class.
Like we're living in a South Park episode. It does. It does. It feels like we're living in a South Park episode.
I think hers are bigger than that teacher in South Park.
Oh my fucking god!
Huge.
I really do feel like I'm living in a parody world half the time. The stupid shit I'll see read on Twitter sometimes. My god. Ugh. The brainless shit, man. It's like chugging down a whole bottle of black pills.
Well, when I was in school, I was still throwing around the whole "you're gay" it's the biggest insult they could come up with, back when I was in school. So
wonderful.
Yep. I hated it, but like I don't recall when I was in school ever having teachers though that were like so set on telling their students all about their home life and who they're dating and what. It's like, why? Just teach me English. I don't care about the other crap. Just teach me English or whatever class I'm in.
Right.
Like, do your damn job. I don't care what you do after class. I don't care if you're a stripper or whatever. I don't give a shit. Do what you want.
Yeah,
But
I think
like,
there was one teacher after she was outed as being a stripper got like lost her job because of it.
yeah, which is kind of dumb because it's like what you do outside of school shouldn't matter. Unless you're doing really horrible illegal shit, obviously. But
Yeah, I understand that it's not illegal or anything, but you know, a bunch of teenage boys, are they really going to respect their teacher if they know she's a stripper? Put yourself in the mindset of a teenage boy.
yeah, no.
Yeah, just kind of thing. How many of them were like putting pulling out a dollar bill and waving it in the air during teachers' lessons or other immature shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem. Teenagers frequently have the empathy levels of sociopathic tiger sharks. They can be the worst.
Yeah.
They can be unbelievably cruel.
Oh yeah. I'm so glad that I'm not in school anymore and having to deal with all that crap. But just the stuff that the kids in school today have to deal with is so ridiculous.
Right.
You're not allowed to learn anything anymore. It's like, oh, history? No, we can't teach that. That's racist.
Yeah, history is racist. There's a lot of racism in history.
But the whole point of remembering what happened in history is so that you don't repeat it. Like, that was the whole point of why they taught, like, the horrible stuff Hitler did, you know?
Exactly. That's why history is always a fascinating topic for me.
I was talking to someone the other day about the atrocities that happened when Elizabeth first became queen or whatever, and how they were still going around colonizing like Cyprus and places in Africa and whatever.
Yeah.
Like really badly, putting them in camps and stuff with barbed wire and all that shit. And like someone I know was saying to me the other day about, oh, you're gonna punish someone for something that they did a long, long time ago. And I'm like, are you gonna forgive Hitler? They're like, oh, what he did was much worse. It's like, yeah, but it's the same type of thing where they're going in and taking a specific group of people and like, we don't want you in our Commonwealth anymore, all that stuff. And it's like, not once have the royals even acknowledged anything that they did wrong in the past, you know?
British Empire did a lot more good than harm for the world, though. If you really think about it, I mean, they ended the slave trade. They built up a whole corners of the world, brought new culture and ideas like liberal democracy and separation of powers, places that never had them before.
But Charles and Camilla have always been some of the worst. You know.
Like you ever see that scene from Monty Python's Life of Brian when they have that Jewish front group that wants to repel the Romans from their land, and like
yeah,
one of them's like, and what have the Romans done for us? They're like, what about the aqueduct? Okay, yes, they did give us that. And what the roads? Yes, the roads go without saying. What education and agriculture? Yeah, yes, that. And what about that watchtower? It severely reduced crime in the kingdom. Okay, yes, the watchtower as well. But aside from the sanitation, the roads, medicine, education, and public health, what have the Romans ever done for us?
Yeah.
Kind of makes a point. It's true the Roman Empire like also built up a whole bunch of areas when they colonized them.
Yeah.
Modernized them, made them Roman.
But Prince Charles like actually asked Jimmy Savile once how to handle the stuff with Prince Andrew. That's the guy you write to for advice.
Am I simping for the British Empire? A little bit. You know, they have done a lot of good. No one did more to end slavery in the world than the British Empire. Nobody. And it's not even close.
Yeah, except they were taking black people and putting them in camps as early as 1950s. You know. That's the only problem. Is meanwhile they're doing that, but at the same time they're still colonizing all these places, and it's just like, ugh.
Like when the British Empire outlawed slavery in the 1840s, a whole bunch of regions of the world that had never in their history not had slavery were all of a sudden were without it because of the British Empire.
Mm-hmm. I know. I just think all the pomp and circumstance around it is what's ridiculous with it. That they're still playing dress up, Mm-hmm.
Tradition dies hard.
Yeah, I guess
It does. Yeah.
But you think they would learn from it, considering one of the guards passed out the other day?
Huh? A guard passed out. What?
Yeah, he's just standing there and he just falls to the ground. And, like, of course, none of the other guys next to him move. They did a really good job not reacting. But
well, shouldn't you react if someone's passed out? Shouldn't you react to help the guy?
No, they have pages or whatever that do that.
Oh.
So there were people that ran to help him, but just the other guards had to just stand there and not react. Meanwhile, your best friend just did a face plant on the ground.
They're professionals. They're doing good.
Yeah.
Yes. Doing their job.
But now they're doing this whole thing where, I can't believe this soon. Like, the Queen's not even buried yet, and they're already doing press photos of Trudeau meeting with Charles and all this stuff.
You expect Trudeau to ever let an opportunity to aggrandize himself pass by? Come on. This is Justin Trudeau. The guy is an absolute narcissist. Always has been.
Yeah, I know. But someone
back in 2013, he was simping for China. I remember that clip. He admired China's basic dictatorship.
I think it was the Toronto Sun. They had written in an article. They were like saying that, Mr. Trudeau. People in Canada got mad because they didn't call him Prime Minister Trudeau. They called him Mr. Trudeau because they knew they were being disrespectful by doing that. And they were just like, oh, Mr. Trudeau avoided waiting in line and went in a secret entrance. And it's like, all the dignitaries did. He's a head of state.
Well, that's a bit petty.
Like, of course he went in a different entrance. Like,
yeah, if you're the prime minister, you're not going to wait in line. That's not how it works.
Like, David Beckham could have skipped the line, but he waited for like 12 hours or something. And they were all saying, it's like, yeah, I'm sure Trudeau waiting in a lineup to see the Queen, I'm sure that wouldn't cause any problems. I'm sure nobody would freak out. There wouldn't be any security concerns or anything. I don't know.
All right.
We got him.
I'm no fan of Justin Trudeau. I kind of hate the guy's guts, but that's a stupid criticism. No, I don't have no problem with that.
Yeah, but the conservative leader is pretty bad right now too. So the guy who wants to get rid of Trudeau, but I think there's enough support for him still that Trudeau will get another term probably, and it sucks.
Oh my god!
Because like it's just
makes me happy to be an American whenever I listen to that asshole speak.
But even politics anywhere is all bullshit because it's midterm time or it's election time, and so the stuff they say that comes out of their mouth is never what they actually will do.
Honestly, I don't know if there's any world leader anywhere that just kind of I find annoying as Justin Trudeau. I mean, I know there's a lot of world leaders that are worse objectively, but in terms of just being pompous, obnoxious, self-aggrandizing, smug, I really think Justin Trudeau may be one of the worst kind of leaders in those regards in all of human history. Watching that guy, I find his personality so repulsive. I don't know how anyone can vote for this guy.
Well, it's because if you're in the upper middle class or whatever, that's who the party looks out for first, with tax breaks for rich people and whatever. And like, it's I don't know. I don't think he's got that many young fans, but who knows?
Right. Or Mr. Mr. Black-faced Hitler, as they that. I love when that trended on Twitter.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Well, that's the thing is like just the tone that he uses and everything is all condescending all the time.
He's so condescending. Yeah.
Especially the part where he's like, so then a trend started where people were like talking about themselves on Twitter and they're like, oh, I'm an ordinary citizen. I do this, I do that. And Trudeau thinks that I'm a threat that needs to be dealt with. And it's just funny that like,
I mean, he kind of does. I'm amazed that he could really declare an emergency and assert emergency powers over some of that shit. I mean, I get like sending the police to like clear the bridges when those truckers were blocking them. That I totally understand. I get.
No, he said that all the people who don't want to get vaccinated, that most of them are racist, sexist, misogynists. So,
yeah, saying that shit and like seizing people's bank accounts without a court order. How does that happen in a liberal democracy? This comes across like shit you'd see in Russia or China.
And most of those people got their accounts back afterwards. So it's just like
maybe, but I don't know. But it seemed like a massive
and Tamara Lynch is still
authoritarian
in jail.
reach
So.
of power. Huh?
Tamara Lynch, the one lady who was organizing a lot of it, the trucker convoy, she's still in jail.
That's messed up. What did she do that they're holding her for that long?
I don't know, conspiracy to commit something. I don't know.
Yeah, like what specifically was her crime? You know, because it was a protest. Although you don't have to like a protest or agree with its cause, and you can definitely clear them out of the way or arrest them if they like block bridges or stuff like that. I understand that, but still,
I think it was a bunch of I think it was a bunch of the financial crap that they were catching her on or something.
Oh, yeah, maybe there's some shit I'm not aware of about it. If she was like, was she embezzling money or something? I don't know.
Well, it's mostly because she's she's been involved in other protests over the years and stuff, and causing a bunch of problems. But like, and she wanted the West to secede from Canada and stuff like that.
Well, like the Quebec region, or
yeah, but she also apparently a few years ago was part of a group that was making threats against Justin Trudeau and stuff. So,
isn't like like more than half of Canada's population in Ontario province?
Was
the western areas don't have a pretty small population. The northern areas have almost nobody.
No, we're talking about like Alberta and British Columbia and stuff like that.
Oh, those areas. Yeah. Eric, great talking to you, man. But I got to head out. But thanks for joining me, man.
Yeah, talk to you later.
All right, everyone, have a lovely day. I'm Jim from Loudmouth Reviews. Hope to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
See you.
Yeah.